mindful not to respond like the Israelites at Marah, which Marah means bitter, okay? When God tests your faith, he is testing whether or not you are willing to trust him. He's testing whether or not you have grown and you have any spiritual maturity. He's testing to see if you're going to respond differently, right? You cannot have faith without trust. I know, it's hard. And you cannot trust without faith. They go hand in hand. You cannot cross over into the promised land without faith. And without faith, it's impossible to please God. God tested Abraham with the sacrifice of Isaac, and Abraham's faith was counted to him as righteousness. Abraham knew that the Lord would provide. So if you are in a situation where God is asking you to do something impossible, or he has you in an impossible situation, you have to know that God will provide. Abraham knew, even if I have to actually kill Isaac, he's going to resurrect him from the dead, because there's no way that God can contradict himself. There's no way that he can lie. And if he told me that Isaac is the promised son, then God is going to keep his word. So if he's asking me to sacrifice Isaac, I'm going to do what I got to do, because it's still going to be Isaac, because Isaac is the plot. Okay. So Abraham knew the Lord would provide, but the Israelites, they didn't. Abraham received the blessing for passing his test. The Israelites ended up stuck in the wilderness and forfeiting the promised land for failing. They wandered for 40 years and they were not allowed to enter the promised land. They forfeited it. They lost their promise. You can forfeit your promise. Okay. It's a biblical example. You're not obligated, okay? It can be the people after you, could be your descendants. God can raise up somebody else. God's promises comes with requirements. If you do this, I will do this. If you obey me and listen to me and follow my directions, I will do this. I will bless you. I will pour out. I will do all of the things, okay? You will live life and you will live life more abundantly. Okay? So do not respond like the Israelites. James tells us in James chapter 1, verse 3, be assured that the testing of your faith through experience produces endurance, leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace. Also this month, watch out for Amalek. Amalek is a descendant of Esau. When Jacob stole the birthright from Isaac, although Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of soup and he was considered godless, I also have a video about Esau. You can go find that. It probably says don't be like Esau on there somewhere. So although Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of soup, Esau was bitter and had hatred and jealousy towards Jacob in his heart. So his descendants retained that spirit, right? In Hebrew, Amalek means doubt, haughty, and spiritual blindness. Okay, so in Exodus 17, the Israelites moved on from the wilderness of Sin, although it looks like sin, it's pronounced Sin in Hebrew. So the Israelites moved on from the wilderness of Sin by stages and camped at Rephidim. It was at Rephidim that Amalek came and fought with Israel. Moses sent Joshua to choose men to go fight against Amalek while he stood on the top of the hill with Aaron and Hur. So we see this in Exodus chapter 17, verse 11 through 12. Now, when Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. And when he lowered his hand due to fatigue, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy and he grew tired. So they took a stone and put it under him and he sat on it. And then Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and one on the other side. So it was that his hands were steady until the sun set. So Moses grew weary and he needed help to keep his arms steady. The Hebrew word translated steady is emunah, which is the word for faith. Steady means faith. So this month, discern where your faith is being tested and when it is being attacked. And through it all, keep your faith steady. Like Moses, lift up your faith to get the victory. We see how Amalek attacked Israel, right? Remember what Amalek did to you along the road when you came from Egypt, how he met you along the road and attacked all the stragglers at your rear when you were tired and weary and he did not fear God. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17 through 19. Amalek's attack was unprovoked. It was an act of aggression, and they attacked when Israel was weary and vulnerable, because the wilderness be getting weary and vulnerable. That in between, you be getting tired. You probably already tired, okay? We was tired before we even came out of Egypt, okay? Because they had us hard pressed, okay? We are just, it's okay, okay? And this is why and when the enemy attacks you. So every time we see Amalek in scripture, they rear their head at a pivotal shift. So be encouraged. A shift is coming. When Jacob was crossing over the brook about to enter into his inheritance and his destiny, into his promised land, he ran into Esau. Mind you, Amalek is Esau's descendants. When Israel was escaping Egypt, at their last stop before Mount Sinai and receiving the law, Amalek attacked them right before they was about to get their instructions so that they could go into their promise. Amalek attacked, right? Right before David became king, Amalek burned the camp at Ziklag. As soon as Esther became queen, Haman, a descendant of King Agag, who was king of the Amalekites, he plotted to annihilate the entire nation of the Jewish people. So Amalek, he attacks aggressively, he attacks unprovoked, and he attacks when you're weary, vulnerable, and about to enter into a pivotal spiritual shift into your destiny. But be encouraged because you're going into your destiny, right? So, hey, he uses tactics of doubt, arrogance, and spiritual blindness. Doubt, is God among us or not? Don't test his patience, okay? Don't test God when he's testing you. Arrogance, pride, haughtiness, being puffed up, smelling yourself, don't do that. Spiritual blindness, where you just can't see, you don't have to see. Faith is not seeing. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So be encouraged and watch out for Amalek and don't respond like the Israelites. So although you may be tested, although you may be attacked, God is giving you the playbook on how to respond this month.